This is Stormdog, and today I'd like to talk about The Barefooted Kid. The Barefooted Kid is a kung fu drama that really picks up on the action in the last 30 minutes. It's a classic story of a young country bumpkin who comes to the big city and is incredibly naive. Thankfully, he's at least good at kung fu. There's a subplot there about him learning to read, and it actually becomes integral to the main plot. There's also a romantic subplot with the secondary leads, and it actually works quite well. There's some politics there that will be very familiar to you if you've watched classic Shaw Brothers movies. I really picked that up on viewing, how much it felt like a tribute to a classic Shaw Brothers film, down to the plots, the sets, even the weapon props. There's a cool, unique weapon that is used in the last act. It's like a chain whip crossed with a segmented staff. On some further reading, I found this to be the intended effect. It's actually a remake of Disciples of Shaolin from 1975. The plots are quite similar to start with, but have noticeable deviations. The original was directed and written by Chang Cheh. He was responsible for a lot of the major Shaw Brothers hits that are often recommended classics to this day, like 5 Elements Ninja, the Brave Archer series, 5 Deadly Venoms, Crippled Avengers, and a couple dozen others. He was responsible for so many of the dynamics of those movies for a good 20 years easily. He continued directing up until 1993, the same year The Barefooted Kid was released. This movie was a tribute to Chang Cheh's career. Compared to modern cinema, this film may look a bit simple in its sets and story. It chooses, like those classics, to do the simple well. The themes, while simple, are strong, and the action is still quite good. The action is incredibly visceral when it does show up, and it descends into pulling no punches. Arrows fly and hit like the ones from the end of Fellowship of the Ring, with much the same effect. By the end, you'll be surprised if it's been a while since you watched Shaw Brothers. The story falls to more of a logical arc than an aspirational end. It's a cautionary tale. There is a bit of an epilogue to reassure you though, but it's still very bittersweet. Aaron Kwok played the young lead, and he's been a staple in HK cinema since the early 90s, and shows up in quite a bit, but I wouldn't say he's one of the megastars. He was recently in the Monkey King movies, at least some of the better ones, and the Cold War movies. Yes, he does have a music career on the side. You can look up his Pepsi commercials for a glimpse. He's really quite proficient with it. Maggie Cheung is here as well, and she's a much bigger star than Kwok. He was in Jet Li's Hero, Ashes of Time, both of the Heroic Trio movies, Dragon Inn, and many of Jackie Chan's classics. In the mid-90s, she took a more serious look at the roles she had and cut back on the action movies. Tai Lung is here as well, and of course I recognize him from the first 2 A Better Tomorrows. He has a great cameo in Tiger on the Beat. He's even in The Warrior's Way. He often plays a secondary lead, but I love seeing him in movies. Johnny To primarily directed the film. He is often regarded as an action movie director, with frenetic breakneck action, but his career has actually been quite varied. He's also done a good amount of comedies and dramas. He is most often called upon for these action scripts, but early on did quite a bit of other genres. Like John Woo before him, he's become recognized for a specific niche, but cut his teeth doing whatever he had a chance to, and through his successes rose to where he is. He's responsible for a lot of the action classics, but has slowed down his pace recently. although you could say that of the entire HK cinema industry. The film is a really great callback to the early kung fu classics. Of course, everything has some modern polish on it, from the sets, camera work, action choreography, and the lighting. If you have any nostalgia for Shaw Brothers, you'll like what you find here. If you like the Once Upon a Time in China movies, this has a very similar feel, albeit scaled back a bit. Until next time, this has been Stormdog.
一定要同我揀隻打贏多老頭嘅。係，老闆啊。呢3個係贏咗擂台比賽嚟報道嘅。揀2個送去俾南蘭將軍，留低個喺度養。係，跟我出去。
老闆啊，呢個係阿陳，係我哋派去4季職做工人，而家偷咗啲線板翻嚟啦。呢啲係染冇咗嘅線紗，請老闆。